The guy had no money. He didn't even believe that he could get there, but his mentor kept telling him, stop worrying about the how and focus on where you want to be. Envision yourself where you want to be and let the rest fall into place on its own. It is absolutely brilliant. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am V, and basically I talk about creating your dream life, manifesting whatever you want, and my life here in Mexico. So today's video is basically just going to be a story from Neville Goddard. I really want to share the story with you guys because I thought it was so inspiring, and I just love this story. It's one of my favorite stories from him. If you don't know who Neville Goddard is or was, taught the law of assumption. He had written many books on it and also held many lectures, and to this day you go on YouTube or Google and his lectures are so popular. His teachings are profound because they work, and he has changed thousands of people's lives, and he has so many success stories, and people just pass his teachings down. Basically, he was like a mentor of his time, and his teachings and lectures and everything just kept getting passed down, and to this day people are still teaching the Neville Goddard way. But this is one of his stories, and it involves his mentor teaching him how something could be possible when Neville himself thought that this was impossible. And it's so inspiring, so I'm just gonna get right into the story. I'm going to read it, and you guys can let me know what you think. So this story is the story of how Neville Goddard got to Barbados. Intermittent coffee break. Café con avellana. Coffee and hazelnut. I'm going to be reading off of my laptop, so that's why I'm looking down. So, the story begins. During the Great Depression in 1933, life was hard in New York, and Neville decided to go to the island of Barbados where he was born to escape all the hardships. He was a dancer by profession, and because money was hard to come by, no one could afford a dancer. All the theaters were closed, and Neville had a really hard time making a living. He was literally penniless. By the way, if you hear noises, sorry guys, it's because I live in Mexico, and if you don't know, Mexico is not the quietest place to live. So yeah, if you hear the honking, it's because someone is selling pans or sweetbread. Things were so hard during that time, he would have danced for a meal. So he had a strong desire to go to Barbados and be with his family since he didn't have any money. He couldn't see any way he would have made that desire a reality. So Neville approached his mentor called Abdullah, who was an Ethiopian rabbi, and asked him for advice. I think it's Abdullah, not Abdullah, it's Abdullah. These were the instructions that Abdullah gave him. Tonight, when you go to sleep, you will sleep in Barbados because you are in Barbados. Now this was quite strange for Neville, and he remembered the tiny streets of Barbados that were only a mere sidewalk when compared to the streets of New York. He currently lives in New York. He pictured all the tiny little buildings of Barbados, compared them to the tall skyscrapers of New York. It was crazy. But Neville did as he was told and saw himself in Barbados that night, and he saw New York as being 2,000 miles to the north of himself. However, a month passed by and Neville didn't see any evidence of any progress, and he went back to Abdullah and told him, if I don't make it to the next boat, I will not make it to Barbados. And Abdullah told him, who told you you were going to Barbados? You are in Barbados. When you're in Barbados, you can't discuss how you're going to Barbados because you're already in Barbados. Now this is the perfect example of living in the end taught by Abdullah, because when you already see your new reality in your wonderful human imagination, you must avoid anything that contradicts that vision. So Abdullah slammed the door in Neville's face and went to his room and refused to discuss the issue with him anymore. Since Neville knew Abdullah really well, this was an invitation from him not to follow him and discuss the issue any further. Abdullah slammed the door every time Neville wanted to discuss this issue. Neville simply wanted to figure out how he was going to Barbados, since he had no money and he couldn't see how it would have happened. Finally, Neville eventually got the message that he couldn't really discuss anything about going to Barbados because Abdullah was a man of great resolve. Neville finally got the idea. You cannot discuss anything about going to Barbados when you're in Barbados. So, that night, Neville did see himself again in Barbados and saw New York from the point of view of Barbados, just like Abdullah had advised him. Then 48 hours later, he got a letter under his door from his brother Victor, whom he hadn't talked to in a long time. In the letter, his brother told him that he had already talked to the steamship company, Furnace Withy and Company, to offer him a ticket to Barbados and charge it on him. Also, within the letter, he had enclosed a little draft of $50 for him to purchase anything he needed, like a suit of clothes or a pair of shoes, which is exactly what he needed since he was literally penniless and couldn't afford to buy anything he needed. In the letter, his brother told Neville that he knew he was not working and there was literally no reason for him not to come to Barbados. No excuse at all, so he must come because his family lives in Barbados. It was not a request, it was a command. This was the 4th of December, and after reading the letter, Neville went to the shipping company. They told him that they had the space for him and they were departing on the 6th of December. But unfortunately, they only had storage from that moment on. So they went to St. Thomas Virgin Islands. Someone would disembark and he would get first class. So he accepted and went back to Abdullah excited and told him that it had worked and that he would leave on the 6th of December, but he would have to go to storage until they reached St. Thomas, and that then after St. Thomas he would go to first class. So Abdullah told him, "Who is talking of going to Barbados? You have gone to Barbados already and you went in first class." That was the end of the discussion. So on the 6th, Neville went to the ship with his passport and papers expecting to go to storage until they reached St. Thomas. But the shipping agent said to him, "Mr. Goddard, we do have good news for you. There has been a cancellation and now you're going first class." And that's how Neville Goddard managed to go to Barbados when he was literally penniless. And he went there first class to be with his family he hadn't seen in 12 years. And that is the end of that story. It's incredible. It's literally brilliant. And Neville Goddard always would tell his students, "Don't take my word for it. Prove it to yourself. Try this method to see if it actually works." Because quite frankly, what's the worst that could happen if you prove it yourself? What's the worst that could happen? You literally have nothing to lose. But basically, this story just shows that anything is literally possible. Even when you don't think it's possible. You envision yourself somewhere you want to be, and God, the universe, the creator, the world makes things happen. It is magic. And this is one of my favorite stories from him. I just love it. Like, the guy had no money. He didn't even believe that he could get there, but his mentor kept telling him, stop worrying about the how and focus on where you want to be. Envision yourself where you want to be. And let the rest fall into place on its own. It is absolutely brilliant. Anyways, I just wanted to share that story with you guys. So let me know what you thought. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and until next time, peace and love.